Hi there and welcome back for another video sequence, this time looking at how to build an Assess web service call. So there are a number of different web services that you can use with OPA, and perhaps the most famous of all is the Assess web service because it's been around for a long time, or at least something very like the Assess web service has been around for a very long time. So I'm looking at a very simple OPA project that I've created. Excuse me, get rid of that. I have basically a set of locations and a set of speed limits, and depending on the difference between your speed and the recommended speed, the number of points that will be taken off your license. Excuse me. And then I have a bunch of other rules that decides whether you lose your license and whether you get a penalty as well. So a very simple rule base for the purposes of our demonstration. Because this is a web service, I don't need to create any kind of interview. I just need to go right ahead and deploy this. Here's a reminder of the data that has been created from that Word and Excel file combination. It's essentially just a bunch of inputs, which is what I'm going to be providing, and a bunch of goals, which is hopefully what I'm going to be getting back. I've actually already deployed it here, and I've logged into the hub, and I've made sure that the interview is unchecked but the web service is checked, because this project is only going to be web services. When I click on it, provided I have enough permission to do so, I can access the latest version Assess web service and save it as a WSDL. I can then load it into SOAP UI, and there will be two methods. There will be the list goals, which essentially just provides a list of top level goals that are inside that project. So as you would expect, it has a goal of finding out whether the individual loses their license. If you look at this particular tag, you should recognize it as the name that I gave to the attribute in the OPA project. Far more important for our purposes is the assess request. Don't forget that you're going to need to add a header, like all the other examples that we've used so far in this course. And in the body, I'm going to actually reference the inputs that I have to give in order for OPA to find the answer. So in this case, I'm going to include a request that the Boolean lose license is returned in the form of a decision report. So if the person does lose their license, I want to know, and I want to know in detail. I'm going to swap this over to value only for a moment. We'll come back to that in a second. More important, though, is the inputs. I'm delivering each of the inputs that we saw in the project definition. There they are, in order that the right information be fed into the assess request in order to get an assess response that makes sense. So I'm now going to execute that, and hopefully, if I drag this across, yes, I now have a response, and the response will tell me, first of all, you'll notice that the inbound data is repeated, plus I have the fact that yes, Steve has lost his license. The value is true. Because I set it to value only, that's all I get. So if I want more about the outcome, I'm going to change this. There are several different values, but these are the two extremes. I'm going to set this to decision report, and I'm going to relaunch that. And this time, when I look at my assess request, I have not only the fact that he lost his license, but I have the reason why. He lost his license because he gets a penalty. His speed was 125. The speed limit is 30, which means that he was and because he was driving on a street, basically he gets a lot of points off his license, and that's that. So the decision report attribute, which you saw in the request, moderates the volume of information we get out on the response. Couldn't be easier. Set it up as a web service in your outbound web services and handle it in any way as you would normally handle an outbound web service.